The next concept is leadership and paradigm shifts. So evolution and leadership styles. So effective leaders adapt their styles to meet changing demands and challenges. Um, one of the things I talk about in the book a lot when it comes to leadership, and that's what last week's Woo Woo Wednesday episode was all about, was on leadership, right? There's different types of leadership styles out there, and one of the things that I invite you to think about in the while reading the book is the concept of a leader who's very like a dictator, just tells everybody what to do. It's my way or the highway, and like if you put yourself in the shoes of an employee that has to work under a guy like that, would you like working for a guy like that, right? Or would you rather work for a leader or a boss or an employer who actually took your input, right? Actually valued your contribution. They might have had an idea, but if your idea is better, they're like, oh yeah, let's go with that guy's idea. It's pretty smart, right? You would feel more like a valued member of the team, right? So you got to think about your leadership style and its effectiveness. And good leaders will evaluate whether they're being effective or not, right? Embracing new ideas. So leaders must step away from it's the way it's always been done mentality and embrace innovation. If I, in my career, in my IT career, right? Because I have a history in IT. In my IT career, if I had the mindset of, well, this is how it's always been done, we'd still be on Windows 2000, right? We would never have the innovations we have. Well, now it's almost like regular operating systems are obsolete, right? We have these pods now. We have these we use Kubernetes and all this kind of stuff where you basically just like deploy an environment and it's all temporary, and then you like refresh it, and it's not the same as putting physical operating systems on servers anymore. Although all that virtual crap is running on an operating system itself, right? There's still hardware underneath it. There's still an operating system underneath it. It's just a different operating system that most people don't see anymore. It's a fascinating concept, right? But if you don't embrace those new technologies, especially if you work in IT, you're going to be out of a job. You have to constantly be keeping up with the new stuff and constantly be looking at ways to implement the new technologies in your environment so that you can keep things moving forward with the pace that technology moves, or at least try to keep up with the pace that technology moves, right? So good leaders will do that. They don't just sit there and go, well, we've always done it this way, so we're going to keep doing this way, right? They look for ways to improve the processes and stuff. And then setting an example. Leaders inspire teams by demonstrating adaptability and a willingness to evolve, right? If you are the kind of boss that is always looking for ways to improve the situation, and let's bring this down to relationships. If you are setting the tone and leading your relationship, and you have a vision for that relationship, and you're always doing things to keep things fresh, that's going to just better create a more healthier, longer lasting relationship, right? But the work never stops, right? You always got to keep putting in that effort. And so then we have a conscious choice in shifting paradigms. You have to, it's got to be an intentional change, right? It's got to be an intentional change. Well, I should say this. If you want to actively change where you're at, it's got to be an intentional change. Sometimes we get an unintentional paradigm shift that we didn't ask for. A great example of this is when guys get red pilled, right? When guys get red pilled, maybe they had this fairy tale understanding of relationships and living happily ever after, and if I put a ring on it, she'll love me forever, and I don't have to do anything anymore. And then after 10, 15, 20 years, she blindsides the guy gets blindsided with divorce papers or finds out his wife's cheating on him, and all of a sudden the paradigm gets slapped out of his head. Right? And all of a sudden he's waking up to this cold, harsh reality of a new paradigm that he didn't ask for. Right? Sometimes we get a paradigm shift through trauma. You know what I mean? But if you don't want to do that, if you are sort of recognizing signs that things aren't going well, and you know that things could be better, like, you need to actively change your paradigm. You need to actively have that intention to make that change. It's got to be a conscious effort. So paradigm shifts require a conscious choice to question and evolve current beliefs. Right? I think a good way of trying to figure that sort of thing out is, if you are not getting the results you want, right, you need to sit down and figure out, okay, what are my beliefs about achieving this result? Why is it not coming to pass? And what you'll find is that a lot of negative self-limiting beliefs will start bubbling up, right? When you really consciously start thinking about it. And so when you start getting those negative self-limiting beliefs, like, okay, well, now I know what I need to do. I need to challenge those things, right? So like the guy who's sort of a classmate in the program that I'm in, he needs to challenge those paradigms. The problem is he doesn't want to. He's not making the conscious choice. He's not being coachable. And man, he doesn't even show up to the meetings half the time because he gets fucking wrecked by the coaches. The other day we were in a coaching class, and Mark is phenomenal. His name is Mark von Musser, and Mark was a former trainer of Tony Robbins. You know, he was a head of sales for Tony Robbins coaching program, stuff like this. Guy's fucking genius. He starts talking to us about having, he says, you know, honestly, on voice calls, he's like, you get better results with voice calls than you do with video calls. And this guy who's got who's not doing shit in the class and argues with everybody and won't do what he's told, goes, well, I got to object to that. And Mark just shut him down. He goes like, I'm going to shut you down right now. He's like, once you've had 100,000 calls, once you've done put these people through all these programs, once you've had thousands and thousands of enrollments, you can come talk to me. But until then, shut the fuck up. Right. And the guy after the call, like he and I chatted, and he was like, I just didn't like that. I didn't like how he made me feel with it. I'm like, dude, you hired these guys for a reason. Like, listen to them. You know what I mean? Like, be coachable, empty your fucking cup. Right. But the guy refuses to get out of his own way. He refuses to make that conscious choice of, maybe these guys that I hired know better than me because they're doing it, and I want to get to where they're at. Like, maybe I should fucking listen to them. You know what I mean? It's got to be a conscious choice.
New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Subscribe now.